Livewell plumbing tutorial video for a John boat. That's what we have going on today. We're going to be talking about some of the tools you're going to need, what kit we're installing in this John boat. We're going to go over the different parts of this kit, how much this kit costs, and if you don't want to spend that much money, what are your other options? So stay tuned.
Welcome back to Project Wilson!
In my last video, I asked you guys, would you rather see the Livewell plumbing video next or the rod locker and rod tube video? And it was a close call, but the Livewell plumbing video came out on top, so that's what we're going to talk about today. This is the Flow-rite premium kit, available at tbnation.net. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. We're going to go over some of the parts and components that come inside of this kit, starting with the 800 gallon per hour pump. We have a 6-foot cable here that connects to our, where's it at? 3-way valve. You do not want the green knobbed one. That pushes the water in some type of different direction. That does not work for our applications. So make sure you have the one with the orange knob. 3-way knob. The other end of this 6-foot cable connects to this. We have the outlet that you guys have seen in many videos. This is a very popular product when it comes to a DIY live well. This is what actually goes mounted inside the live well. The water comes out from here. There are vents right here that allows water to come in and aerate the water in your live well. Right here is an adapter. You're going to need this. This goes on the pump. It allows the quick disconnects to fit on this end. As you can see here, you will not be able to put the quick disconnect on that end. So that is what this piece is for. 1 1/8 through hole fittings for the overflow hosing. This is the drain for the live well. This goes in the bottom. This is actually 2 pieces, which I'll show you in a little bit. Clamps, both for 1 1/8 and for 3/4 inch. The live well timer section. There's a whole kit right here, baggie of live well timer parts. The screen, the actual timer itself, the knob, everything. This is another type of fitting. We'll figure a lot of this out once we start getting it in, but this is obviously one of the 3/4. It's one of the smaller ones, so this is going to go somewhere probably on our intake on the transom. We also have our quick disconnects. This is the 1 1/8. That's barbed. When they're barbed, that means it's a 90 degree. This is a straight quick disconnect for the 3/4. It's smaller. We have another drain screen, another 1 1/8 overflow through hole fitting, and another one of these barbed through hole fittings for 3/4. Quick disconnects right in here, but the rest of the clips are in here, as well as all the quick disconnects. And we also have a pump mount. Okay, so your pump can go on here, basically something like this or like this. We'll figure that out in a second. But we also get 2 different types of this black hosing with that wire on the inside. This is the hosing that can be heated up and kind of molded to whichever direction or area you want it to go in for really tight quarters and stuff. That's very useful. We have 1 1/8 for our overflow, and the 3/4, which is our normal, what we're going to be running for most of the system. You're going to get, I forget the actual foot lengths that come in the kit, but you do get more of the 3/4 than you do the overflow pipe, which makes a little bit of sense. As you can see, we already have the start of that 3/4 inch hosing ran through our subfloor. We did that before we put the subfloor on to make this entire process easier. There's the opening for the drain of the live well, and you guys can kind of see it right here, the stamped part in the live well. Every time we talk about that and we say, hey, that fitting fits the Flow-rite fitting, that is this piece right here. That hole is made to fit in there. This is designed to completely drain all the water out of it, so you will not have any water left over in that 18 gallon welded live well. Some of the tools that you're going to need and some extra parts, obviously the 5200. I do recommend getting the red label instead of this blue label. The only difference between the two is this blue label takes 7 days to cure. The red cures immediately. The red stuff is awesome. Could not find it at any of the stores around me, so we're going to deal with the blue label. Hole saws. If you do not know what a hole saw is, this is a hole saw. Voila. I don't exactly remember ones that we need specifically, but we'll definitely figure that out in this video. And also, I like to use a PVC cutter to cut this hosing. You can use a razor, you can use a bunch of other things. I have found this to be the easiest. I came across a video on YouTube. It was some pro fisherman with a Phoenix boat that was doing basically a little tour of his boat. He got to the Livewell part and he was mentioning how, well, for one, it had 2 live wells, and each live well had 3 pumps to run the one live well. So it had one pump that did the recirc, one pump that did the pump in, and one pump that did the pump out. And then he went on to say that the reasoning behind that is if one of those pumps fail, one of the other 2 are able to, I guess, take the place of that pump. Which that can't be true at all, because then why would you have 3 pumps? Like, who runs, do you know how much one of these pumps cost alone? I don't know. But he was right about one thing, and that is, out of this entire kit, this is the one part that is probably gonna fail on you before anything else. It's not even this entire pump. All you have to do is hit this little tab right here, push it in, give it a twist, and pull it out. This is the motor to the pump. This is just the housing. This is not gonna fail you. I mean, you might get something wedged up in there, but this part's not gonna fail you. I was at Academy today and this part was $21.99. So if you're honestly considering, like, or worried about this going out, or if you're in a high stakes tournament, I would buy this part and keep it in your boat. This is all you're gonna need, this one part. So that's the first thing to think about when installing this entire kit, is you want this to be accessible wherever you place it. In case it does go out, it's gonna be easy for you to get to and replace and all that. So always keep that in mind. To put it back on, you just put it right on top and twist until you hear the click. With all that being said, it does come in at a price. This Flow-rite premium kit, which I'll leave linked in the description, costs $369.99. That's pretty expensive. So what are your other options? The other option is the Flow-rite starter kit, which I'll leave linked in the description below as well. The only thing that kit is not going to come with is these quick disconnects and the black hosing. I will say, by the time you go to the hardware store and you source the correct hosing, clamps, the price almost ends up coming out close to the same. You are probably paying a little bit more for this premium kit, but let me show you why I feel like that's important. So here's your quick disconnect, right? Here's the drain fitting for your live well. Essentially, you're just gonna take this quick disconnect, you're gonna slide it on until these 2 tabs go over the ring for the drain. Then you're gonna slide this red collar forward, and that's it. That holds this whole thing in place. It allows the water to go through. You're gonna have your hose connected on this end. You're not gonna have any issues. Let's say you get something, for whatever sake, like clogged in here, or you puncture a hole in this, which honestly is gonna be really difficult to do to begin with, but if it does, you just pull this red collar back, slide it back, and you can disconnect the entire hose from this quick disconnect. So you're not taking apart your entire system in some weird way. It's really quick, it's simple, it's easy. You can do whatever replacements you need to do to the hose or to the fitting, whatever's, you know, gone wrong. And in a tournament situation, that could be key right there. Just having this quick and easy system. That's why I like the quick disconnect. That's why I prefer to spend the money and put in the premium kit. The other way you can go is do a complete DIY system. It is much more difficult. It does take a lot more time to install, and you do need to run 2 pumps in order to do that. There's no way for you to do it with only 1 pump, because this is your key component right here that will do that for you. Let's go ahead and start figuring out how we're going to install all this. We need to go by the variables that we already know. We know that we're going to have some good access to this pump. We also know that this cable connects to our 3-way switch and our 3-way valve. This is obviously something that you're going to want to have access to and located in an easy to find area. For us, that's going to be right over here at our electrical panel. I know that this cable is 6 feet long. I'm looking at this right side of the boat as where I want most of all this to be running. The other good part about this is I have this open area down here in the bottom of the hole. This is going to be a great place for this pump to sit and mount, and it's going to be easily accessible. So there's the two good things we have going for us. The next thing we know, this three-way valve gets connected to the base of this pump. Just like this. But there is a transom side and there is a Livewell side. So our Livewell is going to be obviously up there. Our transom is right here. This pump, this three-way valve needs to be sitting like this. Now if we needed to turn this, we could. We just need to make sure that this three-way valve gets turned as well. This is our mount. I don't know if we're actually going to use this or not. It goes something like this. I could possibly mount this right here because that's not going to affect this bracing at all. I would have the pump like this. I will leave a link to this diagram below. There are going to be a few things that are different because we have a different nozzle here, but the other end of this three-way valve goes to the bottom of the Livewell, which we have right here. This side of the pump needs to go up to the back side of the Livewell, is going to be connected to one side of this spigot. The other side of the spigot needs to go straight out the side of the hole. That's how you're going to push water straight out of the Livewell. You can also open up this three-way valve and it will drain through there. The overflow is honestly self-explanatory, but we'll get into that when we get to that section of this whole thing. Let's tighten this down with the Livewell transom. So we're going to want to tighten this up a little bit more. Make sure, okay, we have the Livewell going to the Livewell side, transom side, to the transom. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7 threads. I'm gonna do 8 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're about to get into the messiest part of this whole ordeal. If you have never used 5200 before, get ready. It'll probably be the most fun you'll ever have. Man, I'm funny. Cover this for the time being, just so that nothing gets inside of here. I'm gonna run another bead up underneath here. It has begun. We're gonna take one of our 3/4 inch clamps, 3/4 inch quick disconnect, hose, quick disconnect, this on there, clamp it. We got that done, but that quick disconnect already came in to save my butt. I had to take off that hosing, pull out the Livewell, make a larger opening in the subfloor to accept that fitting, and then I was able to connect everything back together and get it all fitted in. And I probably should have done all of this part as far as installing the drain fitting and the live well and connecting that quick disconnect and that hose while I was framing out the live well, because this is so tight that made it so difficult. Now the other thing I did was I forgot to put this little guy back in underneath the live well, and I was going to take it back out to put this in, but now that everything is in, it doesn't really move. All this is supported now, so there's really no need for this, which makes me feel better that I don't have to take all this out again. But what I'm going to do now is hop up in here. We're going to take all this out. This is why we did this part. It's because now we should be able to get this cleanly out. Might need to, looks like I did get a little bit of this inside these little openings, but there we go. And now we have a clean rim and nothing's looking all nasty in here. Looks like we have a good seal. So that came out perfect. I am still, especially since this is like a 7-day cure time, I'm going to cover this very well so nothing can get inside of here. Now we can focus on this side of the hose, which I think we're going to do it just like this. That's pretty cool. I probably did leave it on the heat a little bit too long right here, but just be very careful if you are going to add any heat to this piping or this hose. So now all we have to do is clamp this. All right, sweet. That's in. Good morning. It's another rainy day here in Georgia. This was a good stopping point for me last night since it was late. It's still looking good. Not that I expected it to go or do anything, but it's just nice to know it's still looking good. Sorry. Let me finish this cup of coffee and then maybe I'll start making some sense. All right, the first thing we're going to do is focus on this side of this 3-way valve, which is still going to be the 3/4 inch tubing, and we're going to have to drill a hole in the transom for all the water to come in and enter the pump, the hosing, all that good stuff. This is the through-hole fitting that we're going to be using for that application. As you can see, this thing breaks down. This is the screen. It screws onto this piece, which gets pushed into this through-hole fitting. This is why you don't want to use this fitting on the inside of the live well drain. These notches right here that allow the water to come in do not go all the way out to the end of this through-hole fitting, which means if this is at the bottom of your live well, not all the water is going to be able to drain through there. So this through-hole fitting is going to be mounted on the transom. This is going to be right here. 1 inch, yeah, 1 inch is too small. So we're going to go with that 1 1/8 inches. Now the main thing we want to do here is make sure that this is honestly as straight as possible as we can make it, since we have such a short distance. So, and I probably just want to go just to the left of this hole and maybe up just a hair. So let's go just to the left and above, just a little bit. We're still a little low, but that'll be okay. Through hole fitting. Yeah, that's pretty dang close. Perfect. What I'm going to do is put a barbed fitting on the end of this pump, which is going to shoot the hose this way. We're going to be able to run it over here into this crevice in the boat, and then we're going to have this right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have a sharp edge right here against this 050 aluminum sheeting. So I'm going to take my weather stripping, cut a little strip out of there. That way there's no potential for this black hosing to get rubbed up against there and create a hole in it over time. Next thing I need to do is get this lid in. Okay, I have the lid installed in here, and the only reason I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that I mark the bottom of this track system just a little bit. I know that I'll have clearance room for these two nuts. I don't want to, you know, mount this too high in the tank and then that track system sit in between here, and then we don't have a good clamp or fit around these two areas, because this is where we need to make sure we seal everything. Unscrews, it's just a little collar. The whole inside pulls out. We can pull out this nut. And this is going to give us an idea of how high we're able to mount this before we're in. I made this little piece to fit in the back because the bottom side of this 1.5 inch angle sits right above this hole. So this way I can kind of fill that gap, which is going to give the nut on the back side somewhere to fully rest against. If not, this top part would just be hitting the angle, and it tends to push this fitting cockeyed a little bit. So doing this puts that spacer in there, which is going to keep it all straight on the back side of this hole. This is going to get inserted into this side, the spigot mount. This is able to push or pull itself in either direction inside of this tube. If it's pushed all the way in, that means the water is going to be able to pass through this back side, which means we want the water from our pump going to this outlet. That way, when we pull this thing out, the water is going to come out from this first nozzle in the mount. And that way it's going to take it out the side of the hole, which will allow you to empty your live well. but we want to make sure that the water coming out of this side has a straight shot out of the hole, and that all the water is going to get out and nothing's going to be sitting. So we're going to want to make this through hole fitting probably over here, since it's barbed, on this side, and a little bit lower than the height at which this fitting is on the live wells. As you can see, went a little overboard on that 5200, but that's okay, better safe than sorry, right? Now we can focus our attention to this other side where we're gonna be working with the overflow. These are 1 1/8 fittings, and we're also gonna be using the larger 1 1/8 hosing to connect these, which means we're gonna need an 1.5" hole saw. We already made our mark for where the bottom of the lid sits. This piece is uglier than this piece. So this through hole fitting is going to be on the outside. This one is going to be attached right in here like this. Now there's two different ways you can run this overflow. You can run it straight out the side of your boat, or you can run it back down to the bottom of your transom. I don't have a whole lot of room down there, so I'm not even going to bother doing that because I still have to get a bilge pump in there and stuff like that. So I'm going to have this one running straight out the side.
Yeah. Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Load it.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The last thing we need to install is the 3-way valve cable. This end right here goes back here towards the pump. You're gonna need a small Phillips head and undo this screw right here. That's not working. I'm gonna have to take this apart as much as I don't want to. I'm done finagling with this. Difficult that little cable is. But yeah, we have this out. I'm gonna put that hook up into this little hole down here at the bottom of this valve. And just like that, you gotta do a little bit of twisting, but you want to see it poke back out through in an L shape, and then you just push the rest of that cable into here, and you screw all this back down. Now we can reattach the pump to the mount. And then over here, we have the other end of the cable with the actual 3-way valve. Feed it through the inside. Like that. And then this bubble sits on this side. This piece sits on the opposite side, and then you tighten it down right there. From here, you can determine if you want to recirc, empty, or auto. I did end up with 2 extra quick lock fittings for the 3/4 inch. So that's good to know if something was to happen. At least I had a couple left over. The timer, we are going to worry about when we get to the electrical stuff. So subscribe to the channel and wait for that video, because that's when I'm going to worry about doing any of that. The other thing you need to worry about is if you ever need to replace this pump, you want to make sure that this is an easy spot for you to get to. That way you don't have to worry about it. Let's see if this pump will actually work real quick. There we go. Obviously your black is negative, your brown is positive, and the pump does work. So that's good. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something from this video. If you're nervous about getting this kit and putting it together, don't be. It's pretty self-explanatory. Yes, you are going to run into some areas where you're in some tight quarters, but it's okay. Leave a comment below with any of the questions that you might have, and subscribe to the channel because we still have to install the timer for this entire kit. We're almost to 20,000 subscribers, so I appreciate everything you guys have done. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be the rod locker.